recent move by Michael Jordan and Caitlin Clark has shocked the sports world when they offered Sophie Cunningham a $27 million Nike contract. She was shocked. When the greatest basketball player of all time teams up with the most attractive female basketball player to change someone's life, you know something extraordinary is happening. Sophie Cunningham, a WNBA veteran known for her tenacity and diligence, is called to a meeting, anticipates a typical discussion about the plays or team tactics for the next season. But then Michael Jordan shows up. That Michael Jordan, in fact, he is closely followed by rookie sensation Caitlin Clark, who has been contributing to the sports world. Sophie's face was so precious when they told each other the news. $27 million from Nike. That's more than most WNBA players have experienced in their entire careers. We are talking about wealth that spans generations, the kind that changes not only your life, but also your family's future for many years to come. But there is more to this tale than just one man receiving compensation. It's about women's basketball finally getting the support and attention it deserves. It was made possible by Michael Jordan, who founded Nike's basketball dynasty. For years, WNBA players have received unfair treatment when it comes to endorsements. While NBA players sign contracts worth hundreds of millions of dollars, most WNBA players are lucky enough to receive a few $1,000s each year from endorsements. It has been frustrating to witness talented female athletes work just as hard, but earn significantly less than their male counterparts. Sophie Cunningham is aware of this problem. Since being chosen by the Phoenix Mercury in the 2019 NBA draft, she has proven to be a reliable three-point shooter and a player who adds intensity every night. In the previous season, she scored 8.2 points per game and made 37.8% of her shots from beyond the arc, excellent numbers for any team. But being a great basketball player hasn't always translated into a big endorsement deal. Sophie may have some local sponsorships and a contract with a smaller sports company, but nothing that would bring you riches. Then Caitlin Clark entered the picture and changed everything. Clark did more than just sign a contract with the WNBA. She kicked down the door and declared that women's basketball was ready for prime time. More people started watching her game than ever before. Suddenly, people who had never watched women's basketball were paying attention to see what all the hype was about. When Nike saw this, they realized they had been sleeping on a gold mine. Clark was selling out arenas, attracting TV numbers at rival men's games, and creating social media buzz that marketing executives could only dream of. Few women's basketball players have ever signed a contract with Nike that reportedly included plans for her own line of signature shoes. At this point, Michael Jordan comes into play. Not only is MJ a wealth-hoarding retired athlete, he is still very much associated with Nike and the Jordan brand. He has shown a keen interest in the current state of women's basketball. The man who revolutionized athlete endorsements wanted to be involved when he noticed that women's sports were becoming more and more popular. Jordan and Clark have been discussing ways to make women's basketball better. They both came to the conclusion that one celebrity's compensation was insufficient. The entire sport needed to level up. The name of Sophie Cunningham was then mentioned. Despite playing on different teams, Sophie and Caitlin had developed a close relationship. As a result, Jordan and Clark made a proposal to Nike. They wanted Sophie to be a part of the new wave of women's basketball endorsements. It's not a small issue, but would attract media attention and show other businesses how valuable WNBA players are as investments. Negotiating must have been interesting. It is unheard of for a role player to get $27 million. But Jordan's involvement was substantial, and Clark's notoriety lent it greater credibility. She was basically saying, "This is my league. These are my co-workers, and they should be paid." When they told Sophie, it was reportedly an emotional meeting. It was difficult for her to believe at first. The agreement includes cash as well as marketing campaigns, signature apparel, and opportunities to grow her brand globally. We're talking about Sophie Cunningham's potential for fame. Nike's investment in Sophie is a message to other companies. You don't have to be the biggest celebrity to be worthy of a high salary. Role players, veterans, and team-maintaining players are all important. This could help many other players who have been overlooked for too long. Think about how important $27 million is to Sophie Cunningham. The highest salary in the WNBA is about $200,000 per year. Even if Sophie played for 10 more years at the highest salary, she wouldn't make nearly as much as she would under this Nike contract. This money is intended for retirement. This will provide long-term financial security for your family. There have been rumors that other companies are re-evaluating WNBA players. How much would Adidas, Under Armour, or New Balance be willing to spend on other athletes? Considering that Nike is willing to spend $27 million on Sophie Cunningham. All of a sudden, the market is open for the Indiana Fever. Having a player with such an endorsement deal is crucial. It increases the team's overall visibility. Free agents may be interested in a team whose players have received major endorsements. The implications on a worldwide level are equally fascinating. Nike is a global brand, so this agreement likely presents opportunities for global marketing. Sophie has the potential to represent women's basketball both domestically and internationally. In regions where women's basketball is still relatively unknown, this kind of publicity has the potential to increase the game's global audience and draw in new supporters. This story is made even more complicated by Michael Jordan's involvement. This person changed how players perceive endorsements. His Air Jordan collection set the standard for athlete branding. Caitlin Clark also deserves a lot of praise. She might have just focused on her own finances and business. Instead, she's adopting a broader perspective and using her connections to help other players get paid. The rising tide lifts all boats mentality is necessary for women's sports. The WNBA's future operations could be drastically changed by this agreement. If athletes are able to make a substantial amount of money from endorsements, it could have an impact on discussions about collective bargaining agreements and salary caps. The league might have to adapt to a new reality where players' salaries significantly depends on endorsements. For Nike, this is a prudent long-term investment. The field of women's sports will only grow. By getting involved and taking chances, they are positioning themselves as a company that backed women's basketball before it became popular. Sophie is now under pressure to deliver, but based on her career thus far, she is ready for it. Nike did not select a player at random. They select an individual who embodies the values they want connected to their brand. Will comparable transactions occur in the future? Will more former celebrities follow Jordan's example and invest in women's sports? Will Sophie's success encourage other businesses to take a chance on WNBA players? The game of women's basketball will never be the same. That much is certain. When Michael Jordan and Caitlin Clark unexpectedly give someone $27 million, people take notice. The topic changes. There, a young girl practicing her jump shot realized that her dreams are far more valuable than anything anyone had ever taught her. The future is here, and it's wearing Nike apparel.